Hi everyone, thought to do a live today. This one I wanted to speak about how to connect to your higher self, how to connect to source, how I do it. I want to talk about spiritual protection as well, how to put that on yourself before you do any of these things. I want to try and help people just to sort of have the meditation journeys what I have. And if you can get to some sort of level where you feel confident, then give it a go. I started, like everyone else, a complete beginner. I just went with my instincts, basically. I learned some self-hypnosis techniques off a person I did a course with hypnosis, and that did help. And I incorporated some of those techniques into sort of meditations, what I do. So I want to hopefully try to explain to you guys how it works. So I've just made some notes here, so if you just see me looking down at these, just to sort of help me, because this is the first live I've done like this where I'm trying to teach people. So first of all, if you want to try and connect to your higher self or source or any other being, whatever takes your fancy, basically, you need to put protection on yourself, and you need to say things out loud or in your head and set the intention. So basically you're putting filters up, so you're only talking to the beings that you want to talk to, and you're not talking to any other beings pretending to be what you think you're talking to. Because it's easily done this. There's lots of entities there in different levels, different dimensions, what do, try to pretend to be somebody else, and they'll appear at that, they'll say the right things, they'll sound right, but at the end of the day, it's not the entity or being or higher self, whatever that you want to talk to. So all I do, and I was guided to do this actually, by myself, just by my higher self. I didn't even realise it was my higher self, but I just thought I knew at that point that we are all very powerful spiritual beings. I know that we're all fractals of source. We all come here to have an experience. So I knew we were very powerful, but I also knew that we had to protect ourselves because our power could be used against us. Obviously, if you're a creative being like we are, and you have people, entities, whatever, trying to use your powers against you, you need to know how to protect yourself and how to make sure you're talking to the person that you want to. So let's just say, for instance, we'll talk about your higher self. So all I do, basically, is when I want to speak to my higher self, is I start doing some meditation techniques, so whatever that may be. Put your earphones on, whatever. I personally listen to hypnosis music, and I put that on. I do deep breathing through my nose and exhale out of my mouth. Then what I do then, I just say out loud, or I say it in my head, preferably out loud, because I think we say these words, they're called spellings for a reason, because we have the power to manifest with our words. So all I say is, for instance, so let's just pretend I'm sat down under my pyramid, I'm doing a meditation, and I want some guidance of my higher self, some inspiration, some answers. I will just say, I wish to open a channel to my highest possible version of myself, and I give no permission to be contacted by any other being apart from the highest version of me, because there is other versions of you out there and different higher selves, not just one, as most people think. Different dimensions have a different connected closer to source. So basically, if you say that, you just want to connect to your higher self, and make sure you put the intention and you say that you give no permission for any other entity apart from the highest version of yourself. And also say, I only want a being who I'm connected to who has my highest intentions at heart. So no matter who you're talking to, so if you open up and you talk to other entities, whatever it may be that you're trying to contact, maybe it might be a relative or something like that, just make sure that you say that you only want to connect with beings that have your highest intention at heart, and that way you're putting a barrier around yourself of protection, but it's a two-way barrier. So in other words, if there is some information that you need to know from your higher self, from source or whoever, then you're leaving a way for that to filter through, because that will have your highest intentions at heart. If it hasn't, and if the being's trying to do something nefarious because he wants to use your power against you, then that's not going to get through that barrier. So once you've said that, start doing your deep breathing and continue to do that. And what you need to do is you need to use your own inner source connection there and expand that to be the barrier, what you're going to use for what you've just manifested then. So all I do is I take in some deep breaths and I bring in source energy, and I imagine it as a golden light coming down through my head into my heart centre. Then what I do then, that's on the inhale. So when I go, I bring that down, bring it to my heart centre, and then when I do the exhale, I imagine it expanding to a big bubble all around me. Now that's how I started. At the moment I do it even closer to me. I do like a force field all around my body. I do that protection, then I'll breathe in again and I'll expand that then to a bubble around me. And then I will say again, I only want to be contacted by information beings that have my highest intention at heart. So like I said, you're putting a barrier up there to filter out all the stuff you don't want to hear from, the stuff from entities, whatever, pretending to be higher self, pretending to be source, whatever. But if you have got information, maybe from some sort of entity, being, whatever, that follows you and you don't even know they are, maybe it might be a relative, it could be your mum, could be your dad, who knows, you're leaving it open so that filter will let through any information that's good for that. So all you need to do, like I said, get yourself meditating, put your earphones on if that's what you do. I personally listen to high frequency music, and then I take in deep breaths, say that you want to put a barrier up, and you only want to talk to entities, your highest version of yourself, or source creator, or whoever it may be, but you only want to talk to the highest version of that, and only say that the entity, the information that's coming through, has to have your highest intention at heart. And if you do that, and then you breathe in and you bring it in the source energy, and like I said, source energy, all I do and all I ever started doing was visualizing it as a golden light and bringing it down. And it's all about your intention. Now, somebody out there might teach you to do this, somebody might teach you to do that in meditation, but I believe it's all whatever feels right for you, whatever feels right from your heart centre here. We are creative beings, we've all got our own paths, we've all got our own way of doing things. This is the way I do it, and it works for me. So if maybe give it a try yourself. So once you've done that, and you've put this protection up, if you want to, for instance, like I said, connect to your higher self, what I do is, and how I started doing this was a technique that I was taught when I was doing hypnosis. So when I was doing hypnosis on people, I was trying to connect the person to the higher self, and I went through a certain routine to do that. So I adapted that and made that part of my meditation routine to start with. Because what happens is when you make these connections, especially to your higher self and source, you need to start off bit by bit. You can't run before you can walk. You have to start somewhere. So what I did, I followed this routine. And I adapted it from my meditation practices. So whatever you do to meditate, get yourself comfortable, lay on your bed, sit under your chair. I sit under my copper pyramid and my wooden pyramid outside. Taking your deep breaths, do your meditation, get yourself feeling nice and relaxed. Then what you want to do then, you want to set the intention that you want to meet your higher self. And just imagine it as a journey inside your own self, get into your higher self. Now the way to do this is with hypnosis, you take your consciousness down and down and deeper. That's just what you do in meditation. You're taking your deep breaths. You're bringing your consciousness down to a more connected to the higher part of you. Even though I'm saying down, I don't mean that in a frequency level. So anyway, start doing your deep breathing, do your meditation, right? Come up to a set of steps, right? And now imagine this set of steps has a handle on it, and there's 10 steps on those. Now you're starting at the one at the top and you're going to work it all the way down, and while you're doing your deep breathing, you want to say to yourself, with every step I take down, I'm going deeper and deeper into my subconscious, deeper and deeper into my connection to my inner self. Whatever words you want to use, it doesn't matter what words you really use, it's just the intention. So you're trying to take your connection deeper and deeper. And so I was using, like I said, these techniques I learnt in hypnosis. So you take yourself down, so with every step, count from 10 to 1 and say that by the time you get to step 1, you're going to be totally deep in a meditation. Just say that. Like I said, use any words, whatever you feel comfortable with. Do that, and as you're going down the steps, taking in your deep breaths, and with every exhale, go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Just keep doing that, breathing in with every exhale, down, 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 till you get to number 1. And then say that you're in a deep, beautiful state of relaxation. And then just walk along in your mind's eye, doing your meditation, doing your deep breathing, listening to your music. Now imagine yourself on a beach. So I'm describing this journey because then you can remember when it comes to actually doing your meditation. So you start off walking down a set of steps while you're breathing, go down to the last step, then walk along and come along to a beach. And on this beach, it's going to be called, well, you can call it whatever you want to. The beach of your higher self, let's say. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to take yourself in deeper and deeper into a meditation, and then you're also setting the intention with your higher self that you want to open up a connection, you want to open a communication with them, right? So as you're walking along this beach in your mind's high, you're doing your meditation, you're listening to your music, you're taking deep breaths, and just say, with every step I walk forward, I'm walking closer and closer to my higher self. And then just imagine, just feel the sand under your feet as you're walking along, feel the rays of the sun beating down. Imagine that being the source energy coming from this inner sun inside yourself as you're walking along this beach, taking your deep breaths, with every step getting closer and closer to your higher self. Then what I want you to imagine then is you see a crystal elevator in front of you. And what this symbolises is actually going up in the dimensions to meet your higher self. And like I've said, this is when you first start doing this. I don't need to do any of this now, and I know lots of people out there don't. They hear their higher self all the time. But just to start with, if you've never done it, practice this. So then walk up to this crystal elevator. Now imagine there's a big button on it, and it says higher self. Press that button. So I just say, you're just visualising it, you're doing your deep breathing, you're doing your meditation. Walk into this crystal elevator, and as you walk in there, turn around and visualize it. It's made of crystal, so it's see-through. It's quartz crystal, you can see through it. And then turn around and see a button. Press that button, because that's going to be to your higher self. So just press that, and then just visualize yourself going up and up and up through the dimensions, and just use your imagination, let yourself manifest it, because your imagination is your manifestation. So the more you can put into your head, you don't have to see crystal clear pictures. I don't. You can do it with a feeling. You can just do it as best you can, like you do when you're daydreaming, and then just imagine yourself going up and up and up into this lift. And as you're doing that, just say to yourself, as I go up, I'm getting closer and closer to my higher self. As I go through the dimensions to the highest possible version of me, the one that's closest to source. And when you do this maybe for a minute or two, going up in this elevator, and then say to yourself, as you reach into the top of this elevator in the dimensions, that you're going to come across some doors. And when these doors open, you're going to walk through, and you're going to be greeted by your higher self. Now, all this is helping your higher self, obviously, because it knows everything about you. It can see everything what you're doing, and it knows you're trying to contact it. Now, what I would say at this point, if you're trying to contact your higher self to ask questions, because that's what most people do, they want guidance, they want to know what they're doing, they want to know if they're doing it right, whatever. Now, if it's in your highest interest to contact your higher self and get some information, then this connection will happen. However, if you are going to your higher self because you want the lottery numbers for next week, or you want something like that, what's not in your highest interest, even though your 3D body might think, oh, having millions of pounds, millions of dollars might be great, but in reality, it's not going to get you to where you want to go in your spiritual journey. So just be aware that you may not make a connection to your higher self unless your intention's proper. So in other words, if you're meant to be there and you're meant to be listening to me now and you're meant to be trying to do this, then give it a go and it will happen. Don't beat yourself up about it if it doesn't, because it's just a matter of looking at your true intentions of why you was there and what you was trying to find out. Maybe you're asking questions to things that you don't need to know the answer to yet, because you might be going through a lesson in your life, what you've actually programmed for yourself before you even came to Earth, and you said to your higher self, no matter what happens, don't help me through this problem, I need to do it myself. It's a lesson I need to learn in my 3D body. So that's what it may be. So don't beat yourself up if you can't and you don't connect to your higher self. However, like I said, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. So go through the doors, meet your higher self, and then just ask a question. Now, what I was taught in meditation, and it has stood me in great stead ever since then, is to take the first answer that comes to your head. So let's say you've got a question, whatever it may be. What could it be? It could be anything. Is my wife the right one for me? Just like, or is my husband the right person for me on this journey? Something like that. And whatever comes first, listen to that answer. Because what you'll find is your consciousness, your subconscious has like a barrier. And that barrier is like your ego. And its job is very vital. It's to stop you being conned, stop you doing stuff what's not in your best interest, but on a 3D level. Now, what you may find is you may get an answer what you don't expect. That might shock your consciousness, like in your 3D body, and then your ego comes in and might put a barrier up and say, oh, no, you're talking to yourself, it's just in your imagination. If you start to take notice of that all the time, then you're going to lose your connection to your higher self. Because what it is, it's like a trust you get with your higher self. The more you take the first answer, and then maybe move on to the next question. And do this as well. So you're not just asking a question and expecting a voice just to say, it is this, it is that. No. Go with the feeling. Go with any visuals you get. Go with anything at all and try and build a picture of the answer to what you're asking. Now, I did this to start with, and I got some answers pretty quickly. Some of them, I thought, wow, I didn't agree with that. But in hindsight, it turns out, of course, my higher self was right. But at the time, I thought, no, that's not true. But it turned out to be in the long run. So I would use this technique to start a connection with your higher self, and then just practice it. And what you find is, after a short while, you might not even need to do any of that, going down the steps, walking on a beach, going up in a lift. You might just sit in your meditation. Always put your protection up, no matter what you're doing. Every time I send healing, every time I do healing in person, every time I do a meditation, every time I go to sleep, every time I walk out the house, I always put protection on myself, because it's vital that you do. Because the brighter you're shining, the more you can attract beings that want to use your light for their purposes. So always do that. But apart from that, you might be able to connect to your higher self really quickly. And you might already have these intuition voices, like we all have anyway, but just don't realise it's your higher self. When you come across a situation and something inside you just tells you, no, don't do it. But you don't take any notice, and you do it anyway. And then you look back in your life and think, I should have took notice to that gut feeling. Whatever you want to call it, that's your higher self speaking to you, through you. It seems females definitely have a better connection to this. Males seem to have to work on it more. Not always the case, but generally speaking, it seems to be. So you might start to get a connection really quickly, or you may not. If you don't, like I said, don't beat yourself up about it. Just look at the intention behind it, why you're trying to make the connection, what you're trying to find out, and try to see things from a bigger picture. Because this moves me on to my next subject, really, and it's basically why we are here and what this journey is all about. And this ties into why you might not get the answer from your higher self, or your answer from your guides, whatever you want to call it, your relatives that's past, maybe source, whatever, because you might have made a deal with yourself, basically, to have some experiences while you're here. Now, on this planet now, we're going through a whole different scenario, but let's just pretend that we're living on an Earth where there's no nefariousness. Let's just pretend this Earth, as it is now, it's going to get to a place where it's going to be as it was designed to be. It's going to be a place where we can come here, we can have experiences, but we'll always know deep down what we are, where we come from, what it's all about, but we just enjoy the experience. But at the moment on this planet, it's not like that. We come in here and we're totally forgetting everything. So basically what you're doing is you're coming here as an experience. So us, as well, I can speak for myself, and probably most people listening to this, you're probably a star seed, and what I mean by that is you've probably come from a higher dimension, or you've been on this earth a lot and you've got a lot of experience, and you've volunteered to come back to actually do a mission. Now, if you're trying to connect to your higher self and this is going against that mission, it may be something, like I said, just keep it simple. You want to win the lottery because you're convinced this is the answer to all the problems in your life. You haven't got anywhere to live, you've not got a car, maybe you haven't got a partner because you feel that because you've got no money you can't even afford to go out on a date or whatever. Now, you might think winning the lottery is the answer to that. But then again, you might have made a deal with yourself, because it's you in your soul family deciding what experiences you want to have when you come to Earth. You might have decided that you want to be homeless. It sounds really severe and really harsh, I know it does. But if you look at the perspective that we live forever, and literally we are part of Source, we've got a connection inside of us, which is a spark of Source, what's broke off from Source, and is been given the gift by Source to have this individual consciousness while we're here on this journey. So if you look at it from that perspective, having a life here which is really harsh while you're here seems harsh, because it's supposed to, because that's what the experience is all about, because maybe you need to learn what it's like to have nothing, so then you can appreciate the gifts you've got when you're not even in this body. Because when we're in a situation, a higher dimension, where we've got unlimited powers, then probably don't even appreciate them. So to come to Earth and actually have all them powers taken away and become somebody who's not successful, as they call it in this 3D world. In other words, you've not got loads of money, you've not got the flash car, you've not got a nice house, you've not got a partner of your dreams. But that might be exactly why you came here, to experience that. However, once you experience that and you've learnt that lesson, what you came here to learn, you can move on and you can go to a different experience. I mean, I can talk personally from myself. Go back about 15 to 20 years. I was a businessman. I had my own business and I was obsessed with becoming a multi-millionaire. I thought at that time that was the answer to my dreams. I tasted success to a degree, not in a huge way, but in a way compared to my life before. I had plenty of money to spend, I could have a nice car, I could treat my family. And I thought that was a way forward in my life. I thought that's what I was here to do, to look after my family. I was still at that point, I wouldn't say I was spiritual, but I was awake to the world and knew what existence was about to a degree. And then it all got taken away. Bam! All went. Everything. I lost all the money, all the prestige of being like this. I wasn't, like I say, a big businessman, but in my level of people I knew, people used to come to me for help, and I used to help them. We used to do business together, and I lost all that, and I felt like I'd lost everything. I felt worthless. I felt like I couldn't provide for my family, for my wife, and it really affected me. It really did, and I went really, really low. I even got to a point where I even considered suicide. I don't mind saying, I've told many people this, but you have to get to this low before you realise. And then, bam, that was like a lesson I needed to learn. And once I realised that actually the most important things in life are love, family, friendships, I turned a corner. And then that want for that multi-million-pound life went away. I'd learnt that lesson. And then my spiritualness started to come in more and more, because I'd got a barrier of that. So these might be lessons what whatever you're going through now. It may have seemed really harsh, and it is harsh, like I said, because it's supposed to be. That's the whole point of being here in the first place, is to have these experiences. I mean, the way I look at this planet, I look at it like the ultimate roller coaster ride. So if you think about it from a cosmic point of view, and you live forever, you're part of Source, you've got your soul family, and you're all together in this other dimension, and you're looking down at Earth, and you're thinking, wow, that's a real kick-ass theme park in this existence, in this reality we're living in, this 15-dimensional matrix, what we're in, the time matrix. This place where we are now is one of the hardest places to be. But when you're in the other place of living forever, of having ultimate power, of knowing all the knowledge what we don't know in these bodies, you look at that and think, yeah, let's go there. Yeah, I want to be in prison for 25 years for a murder. And then your person in your soul family, yeah, I'll be the person you murder. That'll be great. Now, if you think about it from that perspective, think about it like a play that you're creating for yourself. It's a movie what you're creating, and you're playing different parts in that movie. And then you say to each other, right, wouldn't it be really fun if we went there and we totally forgot who we are? And the whole purpose of this journey when we got there was to have these experiences and maybe come out the other side and realise actually that we are beings that live forever, and we have agreed to come here. But boy, what a ride that's going to be. So from this higher perspective, looking at this, when you live forever, you're totally connected to Source. Then you think, yeah, why not? It's just a ride. Just like you go into a theme park, you see the biggest roller coaster, you go on it, you know it's safe, it's been tested, perfectly fine, you know it's going to stop, you're going to come off, and you're going to think, wow, what a ride that was. Well, that's what this life is. That's what we do in these experiences. And at the minute on this planet, what we're going through now is an extreme version of the most toughest ride, amusement park in the entire universe, in my opinion. So that's what we're in now. So be thankful that you're here, because you've got the tickets to the best ride in the universe. And not only that, a lot of people like yourself was listening to this, might not realise it, but you're probably a starseed what's come here to actually get us off the ride, to stop us going round in a loop over and over and over again, and actually bring us off that ride and guide us back to out of the park. That's the way I look at what we are now. So this is where we're at. So wow. So that was a fair bit of knowledge I've just imparted to you there all at once. Now I was going to look at my notes here, see what other things I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, soul contracts, soul families, yeah, lessons to learn, done that. Highest perspective. Right, so connecting to Source. This is very similar to when you want to connect to your higher self, basically. But the way I do this, I don't do any of the elevator things, nothing like that. I found that my best connection to Source is when I imagine that the connection's there. Part of Source is in me. It's in every single molecule in our bodies, in the entire universe. We've all got Source connection. Even the most nefarious people out there, they've still got a connection to Source. It's not totally severed. So what I do is I try to, I'll tell you what, I'll go back to how I started with my connection to Source. I found that Mother Nature, grounding, was the best way for me to get back to Source connection. Trees are a fantastic way to connect to Source, because that's what they're so connected to Prime Creator Source, God, all the time. Hugging a tree. People think you're crazy, but it's an amazing thing to do. Hugging trees are so good. They really are, because they're connected to Source. So what I found is when I'm meditating, when I was trying to connect to Source, I'd make sure I'd got my bare feet on the ground. I grounded myself as much as I could. If I couldn't do that, I used to visualise a tether going from my bottom chakra all the way down into the earth, and I imagined it connecting to a higher dimensional earth, not the 3D one we're on now, and I sort of tethered myself to that. And then I used to just do deep breathing and just say in my head I wanted to connect to Source, God Creator. What is it in my life I'm supposed to do? Try to discover the lessons, whatever it is. Try to ask for guidance. Open up yourself, but always put your protection on first. Like I said before, this is even more important when you're doing this with Source, because when you're getting messages what you think are from Source, God Creator, you're going to take notice of them. this is when the nefarious beings will try to con you, basically, to try to pretend to be source. So that's putting your protection up before you do this is even more important. But grounding yourself, I find, really helps in this anyway, because you're grounding yourself to Mother Nature, to the trees, and their natural protectiveness helps you as well. I mean, I did all this when I first started connecting to source, was under my pyramid in my garden. It was a wooden one I made myself. It was next to a tree, and I found I was guided actually to do that in meditations to make this for this reason. So I found grounding myself physically. Like I said, if you can't, you can buy a grounding mat. You don't have to do that. But I found personally myself, nature is one of the best ways to connect to source, because you can see source in everything. You can see source in every molecule, in every piece of water, in every droplet of water, in every animal, in every the smallest insects. Just look at the beauty of the way it all lives together, the way it all interacts, the way we interact with each other, the way we come here on a multi-dimensional way with billions of other people to have experiences, and they all work together. Just see the beauty in that, and see the connection of source, like instigating it all and running it all. And what I do then is, once you start to get your head around that, and you start to feel that while you're meditating, I visualize myself floating on a body of water. Now, for me, it was a lake, and it was night time for me as well. But just go with whatever feels good for you. I mean, lay on a beach, maybe in the sun, whatever it is. And I found myself just laying back, feeling source all around, making those connections I've just said, feeling the love for your loved ones as well, feeling the love for a pet. All these are very high-dimensional emotions, what help you to connect to source. And then just lay back, do some deep breathing, and just imagine you're laying in a lake of source consciousness, and your consciousness melds into this lake, and you become one with the lake of consciousness of source. And that consciousness of source might be represented as a lake in your manifestations, in your meditations, but in reality it's in a multi-dimensional level. And I found when I did this, I suddenly got this connection, and it took my breath away. Literally went like that, and this love shot through me, and I just started crying. I could feel, only for the briefest of milliseconds, I felt this love, and I felt this connection, and I knew that was source letting me know that yes, I'm here, I'm all around you, you are me, I am you. And I thought, wow, that was amazing. And every time I meditated, I tried to get back to that. Didn't always happen, doesn't always happen, but when it does happen, it's very profound, and you get this connection. And then once you realise that, then you start to ask questions, start to use that feeling and manifest things while you have that feeling, while you're in that state of bliss, when you're on that lake just floating there in your deepest meditations. Just visualise what you want in your life. Visualise yourself being whatever it is you want to be, doing whatever you want to do. I visualised myself, I wanted to be a healer, and there's parts of that visualisation's what's not happened yet, but I know they're going to happen. I know they are. And when you're in these states with source like that, you're connecting, you really are making a connection, and it really makes it easier to manifest these things. That's why the nefariousness in this planet and in this universe will try to use your connection to source to manifest things what that may want. That's why it's so important to put your protection up and get yourself to that level where you know and you can trust. And when you feel that love coming through you like that,